I'm Max Leaman, owner, CEO of Loan People, branch manager of Leaman team, and loan officer for the last 25 years. I've built my business off many things, one of them being condos and being a condo expert from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, non-warrantable condos, and everything in between. I am one of the preferred lenders on pretty much every condo project coming up in Austin, all the new condo projects, quite a few condo conversions. And really, I've come to understand the ins and outs extremely well over the last 25 years. Oftentimes, agents or buyers will call me and ask, is this project warrantable? There's this myth out there that there is a list of all the warrantable condos, and that's not true. I typically will get this email, what do you know about this project? If we don't have it in our database, I can look up some information on TCAD or any appraisal district and at least tell you very quickly how many units are in the project and if any single entity owns too many units. From there, I'll generally ask the seller's agent or the seller to go ask some specific questions of the HOA. I'll want to know what the owner occupancy percentage is. I'll want to get my hands on the budget. I'll want to get my hands on insurance. And I'll want to know if there's any current litigation. One of the biggest red flags for condos is it under litigation? There's a lot of condo projects that are under litigation. Not all litigation is bad, and being under litigation doesn't necessarily mean it cannot get financing. The biggest litigation to look for is construction defect litigation. Is the condo currently under lawsuit for construction defects? There's quite a few of them out there. If it is, the lender's going to need to know what is the construction defect, how much does it cost to repair, have the repairs been made or not. If you're under construction defect litigation and the repairs have already been made and now everybody's just suing each other for money, that's generally going to be okay. If you're under construction defect litigation and the repairs have not been made, that is going to be problematic. There are programs out there, but they will not be market rate Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type loans. So you need to start digging into that with a lender early on. The other thing people talk about often is owner occupancy, being 51% or more owner occupied. That is not always going to be a problem either. A lot of these things will be dictated based on how much the buyer is putting down, 5%, 10%, 25%. These will all play a role, and what you really need to look for with regards to owner occupancy, with regards to insurance, things like the red flag that you want to look for is single entity ownership. What is the percentage of units owned by a single entity? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac have a little bit different variance on that, 20 to 25%. You also want to take into consideration commercial space. Commercial space in a condo project, over 35% can be an issue as well. Again, there are financing issues for these, but to get the best Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type financing, you're going to want to be under that. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will make exceptions to condos, not meeting certain requirements as well. So if you have a condo that falls outside of the written guidelines, your lender can request an exception from Fannie or Freddie. Many people think that if a condo is non-warrantable, it's not financeable, which is not accurate. There are plenty of options out there for non-warrantable condos. First, you need to understand why it's non-warrantable. Sometimes a non-warrantable condo is eligible for market rate financing or down payment. Other times, maybe you have to put a little bit more down. Maybe the interest rate will be a little higher. It's not a one-size-fits-all box, and so the lender needs to do their due diligence up front to figure out why is this non-warrantable and what box can we put it in. One thing that happens a lot is buyers and sellers don't want to go under contract until they can figure out if the project is warrantable or non-warrantable and what the terms of the loan will be. This can be problematic because a lot of the information needed from the lender is supplied at a cost from the HOA. To expedite this, it's really important that the buyer, the seller, and the lender work together to get this information up front. But a lot of times, we can use our option period to cover this and figure out, is this really going to be warrantable in the warrantable terms, or do we need to flip the financing? Additionally, we have the lender property approval as part of the third-party financing in the contract. So even if you get past option period and we discover as a lender that the property does not meet the lender's expectations, then the buyer typically can get their earnest money back as well. My best advice to a listing agent is to have their seller get this information upfront from the HOA. Ask for a copy of the budget. Ask for a copy of the insurance. If the project is 21 units or more, ask for a copy of the fidelity insurance as well. You'll also want to ask the question, is this project under any litigation? As lenders, when we ask for that information, HOAs will charge us anywhere between $50 and $500 to get this information. Your seller, as a member of that HOA, has a right to obtain this information at no cost. For buyers agents looking at a specific project, trying to figure out if it's going to be okay or not, it's going to be best to ask the listing agent to get with their seller and ask for this information. The budget, is it under litigation? Can I get a copy of the insurance policy? And fidelity insurance if the project is 21 units or more. Your lender can take that information and give you a really good idea of what the terms might look like for that loan. I often get asked, is a project approved for a VA or FHA loan? There is a list that you can pull up on FHA's website and on VA's website to tell you, is this project approved to go VA or FHA? If it's not approved on that list, specifically for FHA, we can gather information and do what's called a single unit approval. That will allow us to look at the condo project, the questionnaire, the budget, the insurance, everything that you need, and determine if it meets FHA guidelines. We can then submit this information to FHA, get their blessing on it within just a couple of days, and get that particular unit approved for FHA without having to worry about getting the entire complex approved for FHA. For a VA loan, you can't do a single unit approval like you can for FHA, but we can submit the project to VA for approval, which we've done somewhat regularly. That process, while they tell you it can take up to 6 weeks, we've seen in recent times this take more like 1 to 2 weeks to get that project approved. But just because a property is not approved or a project is not approved for FHA or VA financing does not mean a buyer cannot take out an FHA or VA loan on that particular project. The best piece of advice I can give anybody, buyer, buyer's agent, seller, seller's agent. When you're dealing with a condo, you need to make sure you are working with a lender who completely understands all the ins and outs, all the gray, all the black, all the white of condo guidelines. We've saved hundreds and hundreds of loans that a lender said could not obtain financing, could not obtain warrantable financing, when in fact it can. These guidelines, as they're put forth, vary from down payment to loan type to occupancy type, and unless you're completely fully versed in all of these, you're probably going to be giving people the wrong answer. So above and beyond anything else, you need to ask the lender that you're working with, what is their condo experience? How many condo loans have they done in the past? How many condo loans have they done in the last 12 months? Because guidelines are always changing. You really need to vet them out and understand what is their knowledge base for condos. Thanks for watching this. My name is Max Leaman. You can contact me directly at max.leaman@loanpeople.com. You can also email my team at leamanteam@loanpeople.com. And my cell phone is 512-293-1239. Any questions, anything we can do, reach out for any help. Happy to be here.